I spent years chasing the wrong advice. I did everything that I was told to do that you hear online, and I stayed stuck. Many times I actually gained weight while I was trying to lose it. Perhaps you can relate. Looking back and knowing what I know now, it wasn't for a lack of effort. It was just brutal mistakes that I didn't even realize I was making. If you've been trying and failing again and again and just feel like nothing is working after everything that you've tried, these 5 switches could save you years as well. The first mistake is literally the opposite of what everyone says, but it works like this. So 5 p.m. will usually be a cutoff, and that's whenever I stopped eating. And then 9 p.m. is whenever the cravings would start kind of creeping in, you would kind of feel it. And then 9:30, you feel yourself slipping. That is what happened to me. And I want to just talk about this for a second. I wonder how many of you, let me know in the comments, feel the same way. You can kind of feel that you're going to fail. And I hate to say it like that, but you kind of feel like, you know what, I've already sort of made the decision that I'm going to eat, or I feel like I'm slipping. I might not make it tonight. And it's literally on a nightly basis. Not too long after that, probably about 10, maybe 11, you can't take it anymore and you eat. And because of that guilt, you kind of binge and you eat way more than you originally planned on eating. So the mistake here is that you're told not to eat at night because I thought eating at night would make me fat. Now, I am a personal trainer and I have known this for quite a while, not to be worried about necessarily the time of eating. But it is still something that was on my mind of like, well, I guess I should just be done after dinner. That way it helps me control my calories. But obviously, it's not when you eat, it's how much and what you're eating. And for me, it was oftentimes how much. Like it would be a healthy thing. It was just a lot of calories. This for me was the advantage of food logging. At least it was one of the advantages of food logging, was that I could plan in that I'm going to eat something later tonight, and it's part of my plan, so I'm not falling off plan. So tonight, I'm actually going to have Greek yogurt, but I'm adding some casein protein to it, so Dimetize Elite. It's pretty good. Chocolate protein, I don't, sell it or anything, but look it up if you want to. I think it's delicious. But the casein is thicker than whey protein, and so it makes a really good pudding. So I'm going to have that tonight after dinner. I'm probably going to have it as late as like 9 p.m. And for me, it really helps. Eating a filling meal at night helped me stop the snacking between. So my dinner would be very filling, and then I would plan on having, it's not even really a snack. I would say it's usually I'm eating like 400 calories in the evening, which stops that snacking in between and then stops the snacking after. And for me, it helps me sleep. I know that there's this general thing that people say, and I hear it a lot, and I bet they're not wrong, that when your body is digesting, it struggles to put you in as deep of a sleep. I have not found that to be the case. I wore a sleep tracker, a Whoop sleep tracker, and movement tracker and everything for a year. And I did not find that at all to be the case. In fact, whenever I was hungry, I was more restless. Now I have struggled. If you didn't watch my last video, I encourage you to go watch it. It's just a little bit, there's a piece in there about my story about with sleepwalking and the guilt associated with eating bad and how that plagued me for like 20 years of my life. And I would sleepwalk and eat. And I found that if I ate right before bed, I wouldn't sleepwalk. I would have deep sleep. I would feel rested. So for me, it was pretty important. I shouldn't say right before bed, like an hour or two before bed. But that would, having that in my plan helped me so much. Mistake number 2, at least for me, was probably one of the biggest game changers. This mistake is how I came up with my 3S rule. Simple, satisfying, and strategic. Let me explain what each of these are. I really used to be against snacks. I would focus on just having those 3 meals or a 4th meal perhaps, but I was against the snacks in between. The logic for me wasn't that the snacks caused weight gain. It was that the snacks caused extra calories to be consumed that I didn't really need, because who needs more than 4 meals? That was kind of my thought. But obviously, if the 4 meals are small enough, then you're going to need something else as well. Now, if your 4 meals are large enough, then you do not need snacks. And you might be like, well, I only eat 3 meals, in which case that 4th one could be a snack or whatever. Skipping snacks for me just made me, or at least skipping like eating for too long, made me so much hungrier later in the day. And that makes sense. That's a part of what happens. But I couldn't control, whenever I started eating, the continued eating. Now, though, I plan my snacks with protein, and that is the sole focus for me, is like, this needs to be a protein snack. And it keeps me full, it keeps me satisfied. Plus, I know that it's helped me keep and build muscle, so I really enjoy that aspect of it. So let's start with the simple of the 3 S's, and that's just something that's easy to grab. It has to be easy to grab. If I had to prep a snack, get real, I'm not going to do that. So for me, oftentimes that'd be a protein bar or a prepared meal that I cut in half. So I would either pull out of the fridge, the Tupperware, the pre-made Tupperware, pre-made meal, and I would physically eat half of it, knowing I was going to eat the other half later. And so even if I ate a little bit more than half or a little bit less than half, it would all level out in the end. But a lot of times, like if you're like, I don't really want to do extra snacks, and I'm going to mention my cookbook in a second. It's totally free and you're going to love it. And you might just be like, man, this food's so good. I don't really want to buy that extra stuff or have that extra stuff. Then you could just cut a meal in half. And I think it is just such a superpower. Obviously, there's protein shakes and like beef jerky, things like that. You could make egg white muffins, put a little bit of, ground turkey in there, and you have a pretty solid high protein snack in one of those as well. Speaking of beef jerky is underrated. It's kind of expensive, and that's why I don't have it a ton. But, one package, if it's like original or plain beef jerky, if it is like hickory smoked or something, there's going to be a lot of sugar in it. But if it's just the original or peppered beef jerky or something like that, then you're going to get 60 grams of protein in a package for 280, 300 calories. Probably not that low. It's probably something more like 350 calories, but for 350 calories, you're going to get 60 grams of protein. That is just crazy. Real quick, I want to bring up my cookbook because I mentioned it. It is totally free. Link in the pinned comment and in the description. High protein, voluminous meals. So they take up a lot of space. You're very satisfied with them. Cheesy Mexican rice is probably my current favorite right now. And tonight, actually, I'm adding 2 more recipes. It's like a protein pancake, but it actually came out good this time. I am so satisfied with it. It was so good. Now I do use low calorie syrup on that, but that's going to be in there tonight. There's another one I'm adding tonight that I can't really remember. And then I'm doing these like breakfast pancake muffins. Oh my gosh, they're going to be so good. I cannot wait for it. So all that's going to be in the cookbook. It really, really is going to help you. It has measured amounts in grams. So you don't have to do cups and everything like that. You just measure out, 385 grams or whatever the recipe says. And now food logging is easier than ever. So you're going to really like it. I hope it's a tool that really, really helps you. I'm not a chef, super simple recipes, so make sure to get that. So now the next thing is satisfying. This falls very closely in line with what I've already been talking about, or I've already mentioned it a little bit, but that is that it has to be high in protein and or fiber. The protein is going to keep you full, and that is the very point of, snacking, is to keep you full and get you to your next meal without too much temptation. Obviously, the higher amounts of protein help you retain muscle and even build muscle. And if you start building your shape while losing the fat, you're going to like how you look that much sooner. It is the perfect way of losing weight, instead of just losing the fat, also working on the muscle beneath it. The last part of the 3S system is strategic. This is probably the most important one. You need to snack between meals without grazing. That is where I completely, messed up. It was one of my big mistakes. And this isn't one of the mistakes that I'm listing, but in regards to the snacking side of things, I would graze. And even if it was just like a chip here, like a tortilla chip, or if I, measured out the tortilla chips, I'd put them on a plate and then put the taco, meat on it or whatever I was having. And then before I was even, out of the microwave, I'd put it in the microwave before it was even out and I would start eating it, I would have a chip or two. It's not that big of a deal, but if you do that with everything that you pull out of the fridge or out of the pantry, you are going to end up consuming 400, 500 calories extra, and that's the difference between your weight loss. For me, I already mentioned this a little bit, but I love tracking. It really helps me. It helps me to, okay, I'm going to have this and that's it. I'm going to put the chips away or whatever. And then the grazing just doesn't become an issue whenever you're focused on, it's in my log. I'm going to have what's in my log. It's like giving yourself a plan. And, that way you don't feel forced into a plan. Someone else doesn't give you the plan. You give yourself the plan, you stick between those guardrails, and you're going to be just fine. Mistake number 3 is the toddler plate mistake. Let me explain what that is. I thought it was a perfect analogy. You know those toddler plates where the food doesn't touch because toddlers like freak out if their food touches? That was me. That was my life. And it worked for a while until I got tired of pretending that I actually liked that. Let me explain exactly what I mean. I would have a protein, a carb, and a starch and dairy. And sometimes I really enjoy that, like having some steak and a potato. Like, that's good. But you can only do that, I think. I don't know. If you love it, by all means, that is an awesome way of eating. But I just got bored of it. That's why I came out with this recipe book, and I'm slowly adding to it. I need to be adding more recipes to it. But like lasagna and cheesy protein rice and white chicken chili, like recipes are what I like because they taste good. But just having a chicken breast and some potatoes again, or a chicken breast and some rice or whatever, a pork chop, it just, man, pretending like I liked that really sucked. And I tried to tell myself, and you've probably been here too, like deep down, I was lying to myself. I didn't want Brussels sprouts and green beans. Like I wanted them Sure, I eat a lot of green leafy vegetables and I eat onions and peppers, but they're in a recipe and I love the crunch. I love the flavor they provide. I don't just like eating an onion. When I started mixing things together in these recipes that are in my recipe book, I'm going to keep on mentioning, um, it was much easier for me to stick to my diet because I was actually having fun with what I was eating and, I enjoyed the day. I really used to think that in order for a meal to be healthy, it had to be plain and simple, or maybe not plain, but, divided out into the different ingredients that made up a meal. And like I said, if you love that, if you love eating a steak and a potato or a chicken breast and Brussels sprouts and corn, whatever, then by all means go do that. That's going to be super easy for you to keep track of your calories. And that is a superpower if you're able to do that. If you're not, be honest with yourself and start making some delicious recipes. I remember I'd be eating the food like separate and it felt like a chore. It literally felt like something I had to get through. And if you're trying to get through your meals, it ain't going to last. For me, it's not going to last more than 2 weeks tops. And that is if I'm suffering the entire time. I bet it's closer to 4 days. Once I gave myself permission to make meals that I actually liked, everything changed. Lots of cheese, lots of lean dairy, lots of lean proteins. And, that's like ground turkey and chicken and even the leanest cuts of steak and everything. I just love it. I'm sure you've heard this before, but man, it is so true. If you don't feel like you're dieting, then it's as if you're not on a diet. That is the key, man. I'm telling you, you get good in the kitchen. And I don't want to make it sound like you have to be like skilled. I'm just saying making a habit of, getting the grocery shopping done and giving time to actually make these meals. It is going to be the thing that unlocks like you're finally going to make this happen, I promise. Mistake number 4 was the maybe I missed something in the fridge feeling. And I bet you're going to relate to this one deeply. Let me know if it's not just me, because maybe it's just me. You ever eat a salad and you feel proud, or you eat something good, right? You do something good and you feel proud. But then 30 minutes later, you're like standing in front of the fridge looking like, well, what else can I eat? Because something was just missing. Or maybe you're in the pantry. For me, I would always be looking for the peanut butter, right? Or whatever went well on the peanut butter. That was like, or with the peanut butter, like a protein bar even would be delicious with anything with peanut butter. But I wouldn't just like scoop out the peanut butter and eat it. It would have to be bread or like a cereal bar or something, uh, cookies, whatever. Put peanut butter on top of it, and now we're talking. I filled my plate with foods that looked healthy, but I was always hungry like an hour later. And that's not always true. Like berries, they're very filling. If you eat enough berries, you're not gonna want to eat more. But sometimes if you just eat, especially like vegetables, if you focus on like salad and stuff like that, or an apple, you're gonna be hungry pretty soon. Now I eat big portion, high protein meals that actually fill me up. Going back to my cookbook, that is something that has just changed my life. And there's nothing wrong with veggies. I love a good salad. Almost every week we have a salad, not to promote health necessarily, or weight loss, I should say, but to promote health. I love the green leafy vegetables. I almost never get iceberg because there's just not a whole lot of nutrients in there. So we get, romaine lettuce, put peppers and onions in there of all kinds of colors. And, here's the difference though. Instead of just eating that and then some low calorie dressing, add the low calorie dressing, also add some low fat dairy in the form of mozzarella cheese usually, and then some chicken with a hard boiled egg and some black olives. I love it. It's just a lot of healthy stuff all in that bowl. It's very filling and it's actually good because of the chicken and the egg and the cheese. Like I said, fruit is very good for you and very filling as well because of all that fiber. I just don't make it my focus. It's more of like a side thing for me where I'll have an apple with something or I'll have a serving of berries. Mistake 5, I'm titling The Biggest Loser, and The Biggest Loser was me. Have you ever followed up with what happened to the contestants on The Biggest Loser? They usually gained it all back, and not only did they gain all of it back, they gained more back. And for a while there, their metabolisms were kind of messed up because they lost a bunch of muscle in the process. Now, I'm pretty confident that in the end, they would have gained their muscle back because everyday life will kind of put them where they ended up. But so it's not something to like necessarily freak out over, but that's the biggest loser effect that I'm talking about. Here is the reason why that happened to them though. Crash dieting and white knuckling and working out really hard doesn't teach you anything. It doesn't build habits. It just gets you to a point that then you're left, oh, well, now what? I can't keep this up forever. And then you eventually revert back because all you did was give effort instead of skill towards building up the habits. It basically just teaches you how to suffer. And you can only suffer for so long, so you're not going to do that forever. The real habit is finding habits you can do for life. I want you to think about this like, can I do this forever? Can I go on walks outside my neighborhood forever? You probably can. Could I eat from Aaron's cookbook forever? I promise you. Go back and look at the images that I put in this video. I promise you, you can. Could I weightlift forever? You might hate it, in which case you need to do something more like Olympic rings or bodyweight exercises or whatever. You need to find something that you can do forever. My big thing, I dropped calories way too low, way too fast, and I would lose muscle along with the fat. I would always lose fat. I would always lose weight. It just wouldn't stay off. Slow and steady progress. At first, it's kind of frustrating, but whenever every single time you step on the scale, I shouldn't say that. It's not every single time, but every week you step on the scale, and I weigh 7 days a week, and you see the pattern going down, and you see muscle, coming onto your body, and you see the progress happening. That slow and steady progress is the way to go every time. You're not suffering. It's so easy to continue in your 500 calorie deficit. Now, sometimes I do work with clients and we do bigger deficits, but we do them really for short sprints and then we take a little bit of a diet break. And that works as well. But in general, going slow and steady, you are going to succeed. I did an interview not too long ago with a guy who lost a stupid amount of weight. You can go on my channel and see he's on there. He's wearing glasses and a hat in the thumbnail. His big thing was changing one thing at a time to lose all that weight. And I was impressed by how much he literally changed one thing at a time. He would do that change until it didn't result in weight loss anymore. Then he would add something else. I mean, it was pretty amazing. And I really think that if everyone took that approach, almost everyone would succeed. The patience he had was incredible. Now that you aren't making my mistakes, the problem now becomes, well, how much should I actually eat? And I talk about that in this video here, where 1,200 calories is just a huge mistake. And it talks about how much and how to figure out the calories for you so you don't lose all your muscle mass in the process. So go check that out.